And we're back, part two. To finish my thought, so Terare, is that name of, I believe, an urban legend, or if it's based on facts about man that just ate without any kind of control and would eat anything, and that I don't necessarily know if he was big, but that he may have had a stench, something to that effect, because of the amount of food he would eat, and almost to the point where it was getting to the point of cannibalism. Now, in hearing that name, it doesn't really ring any bells because, again, a lot of us don't know that folklore or that urban legend that's known to Parisians, but not like the United States. So they go into this really nice, fancy, hoity-toity um, museum because a fight kind of breaks out. They were about to be like maybe even like assaulted or something to that effect with this little grouping of men that were closing in on her. But nonetheless, she's Van right now. We don't know what she's on, what she's tripping on. She's really taking on this Rambo effect to everything. She's putting on like the cigarette and talking and cocking her head to the side, like just try it. She's not herself, basically. But as a car accident happens or something to that effect, they all run and then they run into a museum. She's very friendly with the security guard. She gets in with the girls and she approaches this one man like, did you try to F me? Like, where's the package? And it's this constant thing with the package. And he's like, oh, I'll get it. I couldn't get it to you, but I'll get it to you tomorrow. She's like, no. And she basically, it just goes, like, again, that's why I'm curious about what is Amelie about. I don't think it's this violent. I think this is an exaggeration spin on it. But the fact that she's talking about, she's been dangling this big baguette from like her little like backpack for the entire time. She looks like a Parisian Dora, and she's able to like yank this thing out of her bag, and she specifies that if you leave it out for a number of weeks, it can get really stale and really hard. And this thing sounds like a rock. Like she's dragging this thing, and it just turns into like some Star Wars lightsaber meets bread. She goes to town on this man, beats him to a bloody pulp, and then he's like, it's in the vase, it's in the vase, whatever package she's been like on the hunt for. And then she tells one of the new girls, again, one of Candace's friends, like, get it from the vase. And she just literally picks up this thing and drops it. It's like, girl, have you never been to a museum before? But it was really funny. And you can imagine how much that thing cost. That she just totally broke. And then she is like, it's the other one. And she's like, just take it out of the vase, please. So she takes it out. And so then they take the package and go to their destination spot, which she's been talking about this entire time. Some really fun private event. They go to his beautiful mansion, beautiful yard, and a lot of important people there. And I swear to God, there were, and I don't know the timing of how everything has released between Atlanta, which is on Hulu, Fresh, which I've reviewed on this channel as well, my channel, and I loved, but kind of falls in the same family, and I'll get to that in a second. And then Moon Knight. They're all related, and I'm not saying that all these people consulted each other. It just tells you great writers think alike, and so we're talking about nearly the same story, but different perspectives and different takes on it. So it just tells you that even though whoever's up and coming as a writer is like, well, I can't do that story, it's been done. You can do it if you do your own spin on it. That I will say. So they go to this elaborate, beautiful party. They run into Alex again, Alex Skarsgård. And he's like, I don't appreciate you calling the cops and building all that bad press. I might lose the Baby Shark movie because of you now. Don't ever do that to me again. And she's like, I'm telling you, this Van is like totally 180 crazy Van, because she spits in his face, which is the most derogatory thing. I mean, the most horrible thing you could do to somebody is just like literally spit in their face, and he takes it. But he did actually enjoy it. She was right about what she was doing. It's like she's like these little games we have, apparently, and she must be getting a good amount of money for it because he goes into the bathroom and has a private moment, just based on the fact that he's being constantly humiliated by Van. They even like even when they left him, he was left in his little skivvies, his little like leopard print skivvies, and he was like, "Please don't leave." And, it's funny. It's so funny. Remember, it's a comedy show, even though it tackles a lot of serious subjects. So as they go into the kitchen, and Candace has had enough. She's like, "Girl." She really wanted to bolt, but they asked him to stay about for this private dinner. And the girls were like, "Let's stay." And she's like, "I don't think so." It's like, "We haven't been invited." It's like, "They just invited us, duh." And then she's like, "Do you really want?" And she was like, "I don't know. Maybe this is." She's like, "Van is not acting right. Something's off about her." And he's like, "I don't know about your friend, but I like her." I was like, "She's not like she's hurting anybody." And then she stops herself. She's like, "Well, she is, but it's like she's hurting like bad people who deserve it, right?" These girls are fun and funny, and they say. And so we head to the kitchen. Candace has had enough. She's like, "We gotta talk." She meets the chef, who's her like fiance or boyfriend. They have this incredible makeout scene. And she's like, "Okay, can we talk? What is happening here?" And finally, she gets like a breakdown of what is happening. They're talking. But Van is very kind of like, "This is my life now." And she's like, "Can you drop it? Drop the accent? Drop the act? What is going on? Like, you're going to uproot your life? I'm going to move here." And it's like, "What happens when your visa runs out?" "So and so and I will get married." And when she had everything plotted, everything was fine. Nothing was wrong. There was no hiccups there. Her parents were supposedly okay as long as she's getting married. That's what they wanted for their kid. I was like, well, what about your daughter, Lottie? Because she mentioned Erin, but she's like, she's like, "What about Lottie?" It's like, and then in the midst of all this, we see that Van is her boyfriend's sous chef, and she's chopping up stuff and whatever. But then we realize what is the main course here, and it's hands, like actual hands. So if you've seen Fresh, you will see the connection here. Please go see it. It's such a great film as well, really morbid. And I think I saw an interview with Donald Glover when they were at South by Southwest for this particular season in the first episode, and Donald, I'll link it in the description box, where Donald like admits, he's like, "Now, half of these ideas just pop out of our heads. It's like, we're just weird." And I like that he cops to that, because it's like, these are things that kind of maybe go through train of thought, that you would never think to see on TV. But this is why I love the show. Like I mentioned in my last review for Atlanta, I don't want to know. I like the element of surprise, and I don't want to map out what I'm going to see. And by the end of this episode, my mouth hit the floor. It was like, so what you see in the kitchen is that her fiance is cooking hands. They're like butchered hands of all ethnicities, different colors. He's getting it all prepared in the batter, and like preparing it like you would have thought it was like a steak. And it's like, what? And that's where Candace like, "Oh, whatever I'm doing and peeing on that guy is kids play in comparison to this." Like, what is this? And people are paying a whole mess of money, and they're there as guests, but can you imagine what they had to pay to be there? And she was fine with that. But when she mentioned Lottie, she's like, "You gonna bring your kid over here so she can eat hands?" And I think that was her wake-up call. It was like her trigger that pulled her out whatever spell she had been under this entire time. And then she couldn't like deal with it, so she has some emotional attack or anxiety attack, and she falls to the floor, starts crying because her friend like made her face reality for a second. And then she starts throwing things on the ground, and plates falling all over the place, and she just like finally is having a normal reaction to what is happening. And she's like, then she realizes that she's really in this messed up situation. Like, so I know, who's to say, again, when it comes to these rich people and they're bored, who is to say that these people aren't doing some crazy ass stuff with their money? You know, we never know. We never know. It's always that like ambiguous we never know looming on these shows and movies. So when you hear the crashing, it kind of like sparks for people, because a part of the process to eat this thing, you have to kind of like cover your head. You have to put like a napkin over yourself, and it very much kind of like Get Out. It has the feels of all this. And the girls, remember the fun girls that were with Candace, they were at the dinner table eating, and they had covered their face with the napkins like they were told, instructed. And there's like a little bit of cornbread. The whole thing was like really orchestrated to look beautiful, and they tasted great. But when they hear the crashing of everything, they take off the napkins, and then they realize this is hands. This is hands. What is wrong with you people? It's such a funny moment. They both run out, and then Peter Skarsgård is coming back from the bathroom. He's like kind of like wondering why they're rushing out. I was like, so where are these little hands? I'm telling you, it gave me so much, True Blood vibes. Like he would have these like quirky moments on True Blood, which I really recommend you guys watching if you haven't watched it on HBO Max. I think all 6 seasons are up, but he had those moments where he was just kind of like fiendishly like laughing and cackling to himself, which is really cool. So they run out of there. And then the next scene, then we realize that now she had been maybe wearing a wig this entire time, and her beautiful fro is back, and she's having a real moment with Candace on a park bench by the Eiffel Tower. And she just starts, divulging, like, I was having a moment, back at home, and I was on my way to pick up my daughter, and she kind of zoned out. And I think these are just instances of, look, not for nothing, I love the show because there are really some human moments here where you don't feel sure, you don't feel secure in your role in life. Sometimes, also when it comes to mothers, you're just supposed to know everything. You just don't. How do you go from being single to then all of a sudden be a mom and a wife, and you're supposed to be put together, So we see that there were instances of insecurity, ambiguity. She was like, Ern knows who he is. I think even my own daughter knows who she is, but I don't. And there were instances of that bleeding into her life where it was making her think, almost to the point where she got into a car accident, and that really flipped her out. And she says to her friend that she left her daughter in care with her parents and booked a flight to Amsterdam before she knew she was there. She said that she had blocked the entire flight out, and this is where I say it's interconnected to Moon Knight. Not that I'm saying that Van is going through DID or split personality kind of situation, but it would explain her behavior and how she kind of just bolted on Ern. I don't know how people didn't question her, or that her daughter wasn't questioning her, like what had happened. And like I mentioned also in my review for Candy, just because you're a mom, in every case does a woman or a particular individual take to it like a duck to water. Some people struggle with it. It's not this like, yeah, it's a loving situation between child and mother, but sometimes it can be hard. And sometimes when you don't have somebody who can hear you out or not be judgmental, it can really kind of encase you into this box of like fear. So she just reveals that to her, and she's like, it's gonna be okay though, we're gonna figure something out. And so she snaps to it, which we're under the impression that she could be heading back to the States. We also see these posters of Paperboy throughout the entire the episode. An indication that maybe the tour, the European leg, may be over. And so then towards the end, then we see that she was like, Van asks Candace, like, weren't you supposed to pee on some guys? And that the reason why you're here? And she's like, it's okay, that's taken care of. And her friend, one of her 2 friends, when she was like, I'm gonna get this money, because they had promised Candace like $5,000 or $6,000 just to pee. She's like, I'm good. So she goes to this expensive, beautiful hotel room. You can see the Eiffel Tower in the background. It's nighttime. It's the night show. Really pretty. And she gets there and she's like, "Oh, do you need some wine, some cheese?" She's like, "Let's get this going. I have 2 bottles of whatever. Let's go." And then it closes out with her taking off her pants, but we don't see her disrobe. We just see her standing glaring at the window, and you hear this dream of her peeing on this guy. He had this whole layout set up so that he doesn't get it on the floor, but he's in his little skivvies and he's okay with her peeing on him. And then this beautiful classical music is playing in the background. You see her reflection on the window, and then before you know it, he couldn't take it anymore. And he's like, "Oh, stop!" Like it was too much. It was crazy. And then we cut to black, fade to black, and it's Ludacris, one of these classic songs by Ludacris, which coincides great with the episode. Now, moving towards the credits, we have a very Marvel kind of situation going on, because that's what happens to most Marvel movies. You get a little bit of like something towards the end. And so now we cut to Ern at a hotel room, which it seems like they're back in the States. And some guy that works for the airport airlines is bringing his bag. And he's like, here you go, isn't this yours? And says your name and whatever. And he's like, "This isn't my bag. I have all my bags with me." And he's like, "Hey, I'm just doing my job." So he signs for it, goes back to his room, opens up the bag. Everything looked like it would be his, but it's not. Same name and everything on the badge and whatnot. He opens up the bag and it's like there's like a Deftones shirt that he keeps that. And then everything else is just so like random. Pills and clothes. And then we end in the most creepiest of ways. Is a picture of the guy that we've been under the assumption that has been like looming. He's like the ghost of the entire season, which I don't know if his name was Ern, but you see that it's the same guy from episode 1 and episode 4 who we saw, couldn't handle the whole reparation situation, and so he offed himself. So I don't know, again, it could be a big metaphor for life. I don't know exactly how to interpret that ending, other than the fact that it's just like it's something how we carry the stigma and the heinousness that is the history of the United States. No matter where we go, no matter where we travel to, you could go to Europe, you can be in Atlanta, you can go anywhere, and it still like looms over. It even happened to Van. So a very interesting season. I love Atlanta. I love the Glover brothers. I think they're doing phenomenal work in the sense that they really do tackle what needs to be said and yet still keep it in this comedy genre that allows you to enjoy it and to digest it and to process it, and it sparks conversation, but at the same time it's not too bogged down where you're not, like you can take it for what it is. I've always said, even in drama, there will be hints of comedy in everything. So the fact that you could find yourself like, should I be laughing at this? But it is funny. There's really an artistry when it comes to that type of writing. And so that's why I say that this show is phenomenal. Please check it out. It is on Hulu, season 3, 10 episodes. They're about 40 minutes apiece. I'm going to see if I come back, if I review season 2. Maybe I'll even go back to season 1. And I'll put that on my channel. But it was a phenomenal season. And it was a great way to close it out. I'm very curious on how season 4 is going to pick up, because this will be the final season, which I'm like, oh man. But I know it's going to be phenomenal. And how they're going to how the whole process is going to come back with the guys. Are we going to get more of the characters? I mean, we know that they're heading back to the States. They're in the States. But how now will Paperboy's career develop? What happened to Darius? We still need to know what happened to him. And I want to say that, yes, professionally, Ern and Paperboy's relationship is more solid. But Is it really? Because I feel like episode 8 left us so ambiguous, like with that whole hesitation about Paperboy, who's owning his masters, and this confusion and whatnot. I don't know. I want to know how that's gonna like really develop for season 4. But I loved it, and I didn't mind that not nearly all the episodes featured all the main characters, because again, it's life, you know. So sometimes it can infiltrate your own life, you know, other characters or just dreams weaving into the subconscious. I loved it. I loved it. I love that kind of like mental play when it comes to storytelling. But yes, y'all, if you would like to see all my other Atlanta reviews, check it out on my channel. And stay tuned. I still have to review Ozark, which is incredible, but it's going to be a two-parter. I got to split up and whatnot. And I was going to interview Bridgerton, but it was... I tried to skim it this morning, and it was... I mean, let's just say season 1 was a little more appealing. And no shade. I just think that maybe something happened with the storyline. They did shoot during COVID. Maybe they were under restrictions. But how do you have an actor like Jonathan Bailey and not showcase him? Like, come on. Like... We needed some season 1 raunch sexiness. Like it was, and again, there's no shade to the actresses, the new actresses that they hired for this season. I thought they were lovely and beautiful and great representation of brown and black people, but it needed a little something. It needed a little extra oomph, and it was just not there. And it was a little like, I know it was supposed to be like foreplay for us viewers, but it just turned into torture. It was like, oh no, for this I'll watch something else. Sorry. Anywho, oh, and I'm excited. P-Valley is coming back to Stars on June 3rd. So that's also, I'm also gearing up for that. I got this whole get up that I want to showcase, and this hair too. So yes, y'all, stay tuned for my reviews. If you like what you see, give us a like, give us a share, leave us a comment down below. If you like my videos, you'd like to keep watching, hit the subscription button and the notification button so you can be alerted of my next review, my next haul, my next DIY. And stay tuned, y'all. Let me know. Let me know. What did you like from this season of Atlanta, season 3? Leave us a comment down below. What did you find interesting or perplexing? Do you like the background too? Look at that. I got some new lights. Dollar Tree, 5 and below. What? And I'm going to upgrade soon this phone. So let's see. All right. So till next time, y'all. I hope you've enjoyed. And let's play this out with some French music. And I really want to watch Amelie now. I really do.